For 17 years while in prison, I dreamed of a place called home. I didn't know what it would look like. And I didn't know that I would meet my wife while still incarcerated, come home, not just married, but with a house and a mortgage, which, though it was a blessing, it was a stress coming straight out of the gate. And when finally making it to Georgia, getting through the chaos, dealing with my stepfather being pulled over by the police, etc., within the first, 36 hours, pulled into the driveway, walked up to the door, opened the door, hit the light switch. Nothing. The lights didn't come on. Now, what I want to tell you is I'm so grateful for my wife who worked so hard to get that home for us. And so hard, in fact, that she ended up going into the hospital. Just a few months before I was able to come home. I did not know exactly how hard she was working, but she was committed for us to have a place to live. I was grateful for that. And I came home on a mission, focused. I already knew when I came home I was going to have to unpack what boxes she was able to get moved in there with barely any help. But that's another story, another time, a couple parts down the road. And I just knew that there was a lot of work overall that had to be done. As a man, as a husband, coming home, being gone for 17 years, there were things that I wanted to do, and there was an expectation I set upon myself coming home. Things that I just knew I was going to get straight to work. And the thing about it is, I also predicted a lot of things, and up until this point, nothing had gone the way that I thought it would, including this. Because when I opened the door, hit the light switch, turned the power on, boom, no power. Now, I remember once upon a time while still incarcerated when they changed the law and made us start saving money up to $1,000, me being slightly frustrated because they were taking away from something that I barely had. My paycheck was measly pennies. I'm trying to buy soups and you're trying to take money away from me that I can't spend for years. But looking back in hindsight, I'm glad they did. You see, when I came home and got here to Georgia, by the time we made it across state lines, all we had, me and my wife combined, was my $1,000 that I brought home with me, and she had about $300 and some dollars left in the bank. My $1,000 was going to go towards our mortgage. That was going to bridge the gap. And I don't know how. I just had this idea and plan that I was going to get a job immediately through the temp agency, etc., that it was not going to be an issue and that my probation officer was going to help me. Mind you, I hadn't been able to check into my probation officer yet. When I clicked the switch and there was no power, well, guess what? Got to do something about it. And immediately my wife says, well, we got to call the electrician. And let me tell you, when we called, it wasn't a simple fix. It was the whole circuit breaker. The whole box needed to be replaced. And as a matter of fact, for that night, that evening, etc., we didn't have power. And the next day when he came back, we did get power restored, but it cost over $800 some dollars, 827 to be exact. And out of my 1,000, that left me with 100 and some change. Can you see the dilemma? I remember being grateful that I was there, because had I not been home with that $1,000, hey, I don't know if she would have been able to find a way to pay that bill, pay the mortgage, etc. Things were extremely tight. She needed support. It's hard for our families. This is a reminder, especially us gentlemen that have significant others on the other side of things, to say the least. On top of that, I remember walking into our driveway, and this was right when we found out about the circuit breaker not working and the power not working and us having to call the electrician. I looked out and I seen that we had a flat tire. And I don't know, I think that's when I lost it. I think that is when emotionally I couldn't take it anymore. You see, it was a lot. If I could rewind within my first 48 hours of freedom, I was walking out of a door after 17 years, having to learn technology, a phone with social media being thrust in my hand, my stepfather being a deceptive individual that needed to be called out behind the scenes, being pulled over by the police, the circuit breaker being gone out, and now, out of all things, I've got a flat tire. I just wanted to go and drive to the liquor store, which was not the place that I needed to go, by the way, to get something to drink. But when I looked out, there was a flat tire and I could not take it anymore. And I lost it. I remember just saying, F this, I can't take no more. Screaming, obscenities, angry, loud, with no purpose or direction, just wanting to let it out. Again, I'm supposed to be happy. I'm free for the first time in over 16 years, close to 17, but yet because I haven't had the opportunity to adjust with the rest of society to what life is, full of ups and downs. The smallest of things, although some of them weren't necessarily the smallest of things, sent me spiraling out of control. Now, on top of the fact that me coming home after all this time being desensitized to the world, I was faced with all these different circumstances in an extremely short period of time while already under a certain amount of traumatic pressure. It was real. I had lost it. 2 days in, I remember saying, man, I wish I could just go back. Plenty of people that have been locked up have made that statement. Just saying. I don't even know why I made that statement. I don't know if it was a reflex, condition, frustration, anger, probably all the above, because that's the type of person that I was back then when I first came home. I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't stable. I wish I could go back then and tell myself it's going to be okay. Because it would be. Obviously, I'm here to tell the story, but man, that was just the beginning of a series of a downward spiral that honestly I wish I could avoid.